At my house, I saw up at the end of the field a huge tree, and I didn't think much of it. But I asked my uncle, "What do you think happened to that tree?" Which brought us to a trip unlike any other I had been on before. This is my most exciting project I've made yet in my opinion, and it took me on a week-long journey that I deem very worth it. This is a really cool trip me and my uncle went half a mile to get to, and it indeed started that over a quarter mile and 9 days back when I asked the question of, "What do you think happened to the tree?" We got it was a lightning strike, because the tree had no bark, was taller than the others, making it a bigger threat for storms. We got it got struck by lightning, barely stayed up, but died from the strike. We also noticed that the tree was straight up, but we concluded that it died from old age being as tall as it is, and being a 3-stem tree. We planned to go up closer to the tree though the field, that was in time to be only grass at the time, and not planting crops by then. We wanted to make sure we were allowed up there, since we have 50 acres, but we don't know which is our house and what isn't. While my uncle wasn't there, I went on ChatGPT to see what could have happened. I sent a lot of photos. I projected pictures from old satellites of what the tree could have looked like before it died. I predicted what could have made it have 3 stems, which was that the first stem was the original tree, that the second stem was grown due to something happening like farmers cutting the tree or natural stuff, or maybe even weather, or the tree naturally growing that second stem itself. The third stem grew even later, possibly being when the tree was starting to die from old age, giving it one last push to see if it will survive or not. The second stem was closer in gap to the first stem than the third was to the second as well, which sounds like a tongue twister, but I promise I didn't mean to do that. I predicted that the tree was over 100, or maybe even 200 years old or more, because the tree was pretty tall and possibly had a big trunk. I sent more pictures of the tree to the AI, and I also got a picture from someone else I know who I choose to stay anonymous, that looked like it was taken by a NASA phone. I'm not kidding, because the picture is on the screen and the quality looks like magic, and it looked clearer than what I would see in real life in fact. But I named the tree AMBRE Improvise because I liked having it as a French name, and the tree reminded me of the Scriabin Impromptu Opus 12 No. 2 for whatever reason. The tree was also on a tree line, so I knew more of what I was looking at from Google Maps. Speaking of, Google Maps Street View gave me an okay representation of what the tree looked like when it was alive, specifically from 2013 because the 2009 one is low quality. Now I found out plenty of things about the tree, and now I had to wait for my uncle to be ready, which came and went from Friday to this morning, which when I'm posting the video is Thursday, and I went to the tree today. So it was 7:32 a.m. and my uncle got a stick in case snakes came. And I never went that far into the field ever before, and it was like seeing my new house all over again. Then 9 minutes later we got to the tree, which looked different from what I got. My uncle said that the tree looked 80 to 100 feet tall at least, and that it could be an elm tree. The tree barely had bark, but it still had bark, which I wanted to have a piece of as a document of our journey, but we didn't know if it was ours or not. The stems looked different from what I got, the second stem being smaller and the third stem being what looked like the second one originally. I saw a branch from the tree, which looked alive, but likely not. We came back after taking pictures. We documented our path, and my uncle sadly didn't find snakes. We came back at 7:58 a.m., and that is tree hunt.